Greetings everybody and welcome to Madrid Ball. I hope you all are doing good. It's match day Madridistas, Levante versus Real Madrid, the second La Liga match of the campaign, and we are off to a flying start in La Liga. We put up an impressive performance against Alaves, but can we replicate that today? Real Madrid face another stern test away from home, and we want nothing but to be glorious in this one. So in this video we will be doing the match preview of the encounter. We'll go through the words of Carlo Ancelotti from the pre-match press conference, and finally we'll end this video by doing the match predictions. So we have a lot to discuss, and let's get started. Kickoff will be coming live from the Estadi Ciutat Valencia, the home ground of Levante, and it's a nice stadium which has undergone construction activity in recent times. And talking about the team itself, Levante finished 14th in the league in the previous campaign. They will be in the 5th straight season in the top flight since getting promoted in 2017, and although they mostly finished in the second half of the table each year, they have inflicted some notable defeats over the big sides, and Real Madrid unfortunately also happened to be in that list. Very recently in the month of January, Madrid had to suffer a 2-1 defeat away to Levante, so yes, we are looking good, but by no means should we take our opposition lightly. Levante like to attack, they like having a go at the opposition, even at the risk of getting complacent in defense, and that is why defensively we'll have to be completely focused. And about the formation, the manager Paco Lopez likes setting up the team with 2 lines of 4. We saw that in the previous season, and the trend seems to continue in this campaign as well. They set up this way in the first match against Cadiz, but having a look at the goal threats that Levante possess, they added Roberto Soldado this summer, but unfortunately he picked up a hamstring injury which has ruled him out for 6 weeks, and in the absence, Jose Luis Morales should be leading the attack for Levante. He would be supported by Roger Martin and Jorge de Frutos. The two are quite productive, often staying involved in goals and assists, and in the middle of the park, Levante have creative and technical players. Gonzalo Malero, Campania and Enis Bardi have the ability to find the attackers running in behind. Especially the return of Jose Campania is a big boost for Levante. He remains at the heart of the midfield, has a good work rate and passing range, so most likely we will be seeing an interesting midfield battle in the absence of Modric and Kroos. And about Real Madrid, obviously we have suffered a big blow after we found out that Modric has picked up a groin injury. He will undergo tests today in order to find out the extent of the injury, but Real Madrid have to deal with this injury very carefully. Modric is 36 and groin injuries can be very tricky to deal with, so in order to avoid a relapse we must ensure that Modric is given proper time to recover. By the looks of things, it's highly likely that Modric will be heavily involved in the grand scheme of things, and we do not want to see the repeat of the previous season where players came back from injury only to pick up new ones. So hopefully the medical team would have learned from the mistakes and would be more sincere with their players. And having a look at the squad list, you can see there's some good news in defense. Dani Carvajal makes his presence felt in the squad. It's great to see him back in the side. He has endured a tough time, and he would be hoping that he has left all his injury woes behind. You can also see Vallejo has been included for the game, and we had discussed about the centre-back problems yesterday. We had only 3 registered defenders, but now we have 4. Real Madrid have registered Vallejo with the number 5 jersey. Earlier, we didn't quite know whether Vallejo was going to stay or whether he would be going out on loan. There was a bit of uncertainty regarding his future, but Real Madrid have now ensured that Vallejo will be a part of their plans. He's most likely to play the Copa games, and in case there's an injury in the side, but I do think it was an absolute necessity to ensure that Real Madrid had another body in defense. And coming to the press conference, it turned out to be quite an interesting one, and I'm saying that because Ancelotti spoke about a few tactical decisions that he may be making in the game. Firstly, on the opposition, he said, I think we have to try to repeat the fine performance we put up against Alaves. Of course, we have to improve on our first half display, play with more intensity and move the ball more quickly. We are working hard, and I'm impressed with the players. I think we can perform well against Levante. Ancelotti was then asked to comment on the Mbappe transfer saga, and honestly, everyone is tired regarding the transfer speculations, and so is Ancelotti tired answering the related questions. He said, I don't know and I don't care what will happen in the next few days. I have a great squad. This squad as it is can compete for everything. We already have stars, and I can't name them all, but we have Courtois, Carvajal, Nacho, Alaba, Karim, Bale, Hazard. I'll definitely forget some if I go through them all. If a star can work for the others, then that's a star who will win titles. We'll see what happens in the coming few days, but I'm focused on the squad I have. He further went on to speak about how's the atmosphere in the dressing room and how the players are getting affected by the transfer talk. He said the atmosphere is very good. I think the players are motivated, focused on the work and the matches. They don't talk talk about the transfer window, only the matches to prepare well. The atmosphere is good, and I hope we will have it for a long time to come. And then came a very interesting question regarding the game. He first spoke about the injury status of Modric and Kroos, and further went on to speak about how we may see Asensio be used in the game. He said Modric has a minor injury he got in training. I don't know if he'll be able to play against Betis, but we'll see. I think Kroos will be ready after the international break. And then Ancelotti went on to speak about how he sees Asensio being used in the side. He said, I've spoken to him and he's done well. He's returned in good condition after the Olympic Games. He's been working hard and is motivated. He's going to be an important player for us this season, and he knows that he's a quality player. I'm trying him out in a bit of a different position. I'm trying him as a left-sided or a right-sided midfielder, but a bit further back. And I have to say, these words instantly grab my attention because firstly, we have seen Asensio. He hasn't been able to leave a mark in the attacking third as much as we would have liked, and it just feels like he has stagnated a bit in his development. So can Ancelotti's new approach make Asensio a different player? And we have spoken in the past season about how Asensio often tends to get isolated on the wings. So can this be a position where Asensio gets more involved in the game? I've always thought that Asensio would do better in a more central role, so possibly we may get to see him being used as an attacking midfielder. And I also find it more interesting because we had a look at the managerial career of Ancelotti, and there have been instances in the past where he had enforced positional changes to get the best out of players. We saw that in the case of Andre Pirlo at AC Milan. Even James Rodriguez thrived under Ancelotti, and as for Asensio, trying something new may just work. It would be like starting a new chapter for him. So definitely, I am excited to see what tactical changes Ancelotti will bring about in the game against Alaves. Moving on, Ancelotti then spoke about what it takes to succeed at Madrid. What is the mentality which is required to stay at the top in the biggest club in the world? He responded, if you triumph at Real, it's because you have technical and physical qualities. Then great players show themselves because they have character and personality. They are not afraid. The mental aspect is much more important these days than when I was playing. But if you don't train and work out, you can't show the quality that you have. And that's very true. In order to be an elite player, you firstly need to have an elite mentality. In your mind, you must think that you belong in the company of the elite, and then it becomes much easier to cope with all the pressure. And lastly, Ancelotti was asked about the situation of Martin Odegaard. He said, when I spoke to him, we spoke about the competition for places, and after the player and his family made the decision. What I would like to say about Martin is that during the time he's been here, he's shown true professional attitude. Arsenal is a club he knows well, and I think he'll do well there. So that wraps up the press conference of Carlo Ancelotti, and let's wrap up the video by doing the match predictions. In goal, Thibaut Courtois will make his presence felt. In the backline, again, there are some questions about the personnel we may get to see, cause in the right back position, Dani Carvajal has returned to the squad, but will he be given a start ahead of Lucas Vazquez? He has just returned from injury, so it's quite possible that he would be getting minutes in the second half, but for the sake of prediction, I am going to predict that Dani Carvajal will make the starting 11. In the centre-back position, again, we may be seeing the duo of Eder Militao and Nacho Fernandes. In the left-back position, we may be seeing David Alaba, and I also think in this game, we may be seeing Alaba play more like an inverted fullback. We may be seeing him drift inside, occupying some spaces in the midfield as well. He'll be providing that extra passing lane for the midfielders, and my rationale behind this is that since Modric and Kroos won't be available today, there is a chance that we may be lacking a bit of control in the middle, so possibly to compensate for that, David Alaba may be spending a little more time in the middle rather than running up and down the flanks. And coming to the midfield, Ancelotti does have the options of playing the trio of Valverde, Casemiro and Isco. It looks like the straightforward option, but since we've heard the words that Ancelotti used for Asensio, I won't be surprised to see the trio of Valverde, Asensio and Casemiro. It's likely that Valverde and Casemiro will play the double pivot and Asensio in a more advanced role. My only concern here is that Eden Hazard also tends to cut inside and occupy central spaces, so I would be hoping that in case we see this setup, both of them don't get into each other's way. And lastly in attack, I'm again going to go with the trio of Bale, Benzema and Hazard. We want them to keep growing as a trio, keep developing the momentum, and Vinicius and Rodrigo will be coming off the bench to stretch the tight defense in the second leg. So this is the formation that I predict. In my eyes, it's a pretty attacking lineup, and considering Levante like to attack, there may be spaces to exploit in the backline. And as for my scoreline predictions, I predict Real Madrid 2, Levante nil. Real Madrid are up against a decent side with good spirits, but Real Madrid have enough quality to dispatch the La Liga minnows. So that is all I have here. Do let me know what are your expectations from the game. Do you think Madrid can replicate what they did in the first game? Write your thoughts and your predictions in the comments below. I'll see you soon. Till then, take care. Glory to Madrid. And as always, a la Madrid.